Guys, on this episode, we are gonna bloody destroy. No, seriously. On the last episode, you would have seen that we did a burnout in this car.
Yeah, what is going on with your voice? You pack-a-day smoker.
Mate, I'm a bit sick, but that's all right. I'm sick of this thing being in my shed.
Yeah, you are.
So Ben is going and he's fixing up.
Gonna fix the transmission, power steering is done, and I got a heap of tidying up to do because I want this thing on the dyno.
Yeah, I want to see these pistons go.
I really hope they don't.
Now, to make sure that does not happen, we are going to add in some new sensors, fix up any oil leaks, and generally do our awesome cleanup. But first things first, Ben is going to put some heat protection on those turbo lines.
Right guys, so one of the jobs I gotta do is a bit of heat management, and we have this fiberglass heat shieldy stuff. Yes, it's eBay. Yes, I'm gonna send it. But what I need to do is take the oil feed line and the oil drain line, and we're gonna try and put them together, wrap it all up, and hopefully when this thing is actually making a bit of boost and a bit of power and a bit of heat, we're not melting oil lines. That's the plan. Let's get on with Vicarage Customs.
And straight away, Ben dives in deep, not thinking about it, and does it wrong. If you were doing this at home, you would take off both the oil feed and the return line together and then slide the hose over both of them at the same time, which will make things a lot easier. Now, Ben is correct. We need to do this because one of those lines has between 80 to 40 psi of oil pressure going through it. And if that thing is leaking next to a hot exhaust manifold, you can only imagine what the chaos would be.
Sometimes these things happen. This job has taken me far too long. Unfortunately, I had one fitting that decided it didn't want to play the game. I ended up cross-threading it. It happens. The sleeve is now on both the oil return and redone around the oil feed. The thing that I did change was on this particular side, the oil feed, I've rerouted it on the opposite side to where it was. This is basically because the feed was coming on the outside and on the outside of that side, but basically the oil feed was going to be hard up against a extremely hot piece of exhaust. So I've managed to move this around, feed it down on the cold side, and in theory, a lot less heat exposure and should be good to go. Forgot the hose clamp. Back off it comes. Well, as you can see, guys, the gooch is back off. And one of those things, we weren't too sure about the air intake temp sensor, where it was going to go, but ultimately between the plenum and the gooch was the best spot. It's going to allow us to get the best reading for it. Now, it's not going to be perfectly centered to the gooch, just because we've got a lot of other business going on here. So we are going to offset it just to one side here. I'm going to try and get as much of it done as I can just to help Reese out, and then worst case, he can just TIG up the last little bit. But basically fabricate a little bracket, get the hole ready, and then he should just be able to come in and work his magic. Let's get on with it.
Now, a bunch of you are probably wondering why we're putting an air temp sensor on this engine. It just gives us the opportunity to tune for excessive heat or when the engine's a bit cold. And what happens is that incoming air, we can then put a map to it, we can add timing, take timing away, we can add fuel or take fuel away, depending on the incoming temperature into the motor. Not only does this act as a bit of a safety feature, it also means we can get the most out of the engine during those temperatures. Now, the reason we put it on the intake and not on the actual intake manifold is because you can get heat soak on the intake manifold, which is obviously going to affect what that sensor is reading. Having it on the intercooler piping means it's getting a fresh, clear reading, and that means we'll be able to tune accordingly and correctly. Of course, in our case, we don't have an intercooler piping just piping off the turbo. This is still the same principle. It's going to give us a much more clearer reading. All right, we're over at the bench. Ben is doing some Vicarage Customs.
Absolutely.
All right, we got problems up the wazoo.
Yes.
What we think's happening is we got so much crankcase pressure.
Yeah.
That's just pushing all everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we siliconed up the last set of seals.
That's it. So we're not putting one bunta of a thing. Ben wants to go ape shit and put two buntas.
Everything has to be overkill in this car, and why not? Why not? Come on. I don't know.
It's going to be overkill. Well, I mean, look, we're going to modify it anyway. So he's grinded off 1.
Yep.
Oh, he's grinded off 2.
Yep.
So we're going to cap the return because usually they're joined together.
Yep.
And we're just going big bunters on top of it, and I'll weld them up.
But we'll cap 1, see how we go with 1, and
Yeah,
no,
well,
nothing makes sense in this car, so let's just continue.
let's just continue. All right, Ben, do your best. And I'm sorry, guys, for the terrible modifications you're about to see.
It'll be fine.
Just send it, mate. Now, I get it. You're probably thinking I'm being hypocritical of this whole situation. But when it comes down to it, this is just overkill. We have never had to modify them in this way before with dual AN-12 fittings. Now, on the left side of the motor, we are going to be able to use the factory baffle system in the valve cover and put our bungs in there and tie it all together. But unfortunately, on the opposite side, we're not going to be able to do that if we want to make it look the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to put catch cans in, which means that is then going to become our baffle system. If you don't know what a catch can is, pretty much all it does is the same as the baffles inside your valve covers. It catches as much oil as possible and now lets the treated blow-by back into the atmosphere or back into the engine, depending on your setup. Well, as you can see, Ben has done a great job. We've had to elongate this one out a little bit because when he was drilling the second hole, he's actually hit the baffle. We've never done this before, so of course, we're still learning, but that's fine. That one's good there. That one's good there. Now, what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and TIG it, but because this is such thin metal, you usually have mixed results TIGging it. It usually blows holes in it, even on like 3 amp, for example. So I will try. If not, I'll go and I'll braze the rest, but let's give it a go and see if we can get it because TIGging just looks a lot better. All right, let's do it. So this ended up welding really well using the TIG welder. And this is how I got this to work so well. The first thing is the materials we're using. Stainless steel fittings to mild steel valve covers. And due to the design of these fittings, there is enough material on them to mount a small section of them and drag a pool of melted stainless steel onto the mild steel covers. The tricky part is because how thin they are, you gotta do this really quickly. About half a second, I'm just tapping it on there with that pool of melted stainless steel, just to mount them both together. The best part is because of the properties of stainless steel, I don't get any of the impurities of normal steel to steel welding. It comes out with less imperfections and a really nice weld. On the machine, I ended up using 25 to 30 amps. And now that that's done, I'm gonna let Ben do the best bit, the cleanup, the grinding to make this look mint. Actually, also you can see right there that I've just welded the inside of these bungs on the other side as well.
Alright guys, well it's done. We've patched it up, sprayed a bit of paint, much to Reese's disgust, but it will do. Fingers crossed, no more leaks. That was the end goal, but now I want more leaks under the car.
Now that Ben has done those valve covers, we're moving on to the next thing, which is oil leaks. I mean, just look at this hose. It burst, boom, it's bleeding oil, which means it's bleeding money, which Ben does not like. So he's fixing that while I'm going to be working inside the cab, fixing up all the wiring, naming it, cleaning it up, getting it to the point where we know what's going on. The next thing is, now that I've done that, I can work out all these sensors, like the idle control. All right, now that Benny has fixed up that massive oil leak for the 10th time, we're going to talk about inside the car. Now, we were having a lot of problems with idle control, and it's probably going to make me look really bad since this is now cold, but we should start this up, and it should be idling now at 1800 RPM, or at least attempt to try and get there. What was happening was, in the wiring that Haltech provides you, that actually, the wiring doesn't suit an LS1 idle controller, so I had to dig a little bit deeper to find out what was going on. And this is the diagram here of what I found. But anyway, moment of truth, let's get it going. All right, that, fuel on, put this down here.
Got this.
How cool's that? It actually idles, kind of. That didn't actually work 100%, which I will work. I reckon it's because this is set, oh no, it's set for 35. And what's the temperature?
35, it was like 35, 38.
That's why the idling control wasn't helping.
Yes.
Oh no, it's 53 now.
It's above.
I'm gonna work that out. But look, it idles now. Happy with that. let's look at the inside of the interior. Quick little things that we've done. Obviously, we've got the dash here, very cool. It's old, but it is bloody cool, and he can go through his lap times and do all sorts of stuff. Comes up with a bunch of alarms, and he's got his tacho. It's only sitting there because Vicarage Customs will fix that up.
I will.
Probably not. It's probably going to be there for the rest of its life. And the cool thing we've done here, as you can see, we've got the fuses for the ECU. So if he pops something, he's going to be able to see it straight away. Another thing we've done is we've got a kill switch for our fuel, which works for the key. Eventually, that's going to also be connected to the ECU, but at the moment, it's just running off the switch. Fans. So if he overheats, he needs to pull over, he can keep his fan on with the car turned off. Eventually, what he will have is he will have a water pump here as well. That also, if he turns the car off, he can have his water pump and his fans going. And he's got his rear fans in the back for his coolers as well. Pretty much that's everything we've done in here. We've just cleaned everything up. It's looking good. Is Ben going to make it better? Probably not.
I will.
I mean, it's Ben.
Yeah, we'll get there.
There we go.
Well,
So this was being an episode of Ben As You've Seen. How did he go? I don't know. I haven't seen the footage.
struggle, man. It was struggle town. But you know what? This is proving that it's so close, ready for dyno. It drove out of your driveway, out the front. Sunny day. It's gleaming. It's looking
I mean,
pretty good.
it looks so much better.
It's first bit of sunlight it's seen in probably a year.
So the only thing we got left to do really on this is just a bit of wiring.
Bit of wiring and that trans cooler that I keep promising and realizing I didn't have the fittings, but
Oh yeah, and the transcooler.
But we're good. We're good.
But you could literally take this to Perth now if you want to.
Oh,
and
100%.
And fish it in Perth.
100%.
I think we'll do one more episode in Albany.
Yep.
And then we'll take it to Perth.
Well, hopefully that episode is you driving it, tail end of it.
Well,
hopefully,
I'll have a car trailer by then, so it'd be good. But I mean, Ben, I have to say you've done a great job. It looks so much cleaner in here.
I got my milkshake on, bit better than yours. The boys didn't come though,
No.
but she is looking a bit shinier, a bit nicer, so that's the main thing.
Yeah. And you, yeah, now you got everything done pretty much.
It's turnkey. It's there. It's just those little bits, and we'll be there. So on the dyno,
So are we going to do dyno skid, or are we going to do electricity work, dyno,
well,
and then we'll just do its own personal skid day, or what?
I'm going to say to you that I feel like it. Let's not make promises because I don't think it's driving off the dyno.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Guys, tell me how much boost you want to see. And if you want to see this thing blow up on the dyno, please hit the subscribe button right here at the bottom.
Rods out for the boys. Rods out for the boys.
Buy some merch if you ever want some merch, and we'll see you on the next episode.
That's it. Thank you for watching. Please
No worries, guys.
subscribe.
Bye.
Stay up.